If Stephen King is the master of horror, then Quentin Tarantino is the master of cool. Quentin Tarantino is the gift that keeps on giving. Although he's not giving what he thinks he's giving. He thinks he's giving coolness. But for people like me, he's actually giving geekiness, nerdishness. Somebody once asked, in an interview, asked Tarantino, why do you have to have so much violence in your movie? And he erupted, because it's fun, Gail, it's fun! Okay? Okay, it's fun, alright? Is that some? No, he doesn't say alright like that. Alright. So he talks like a chipmunk or something. Alright, okay, alright. So if you wonder why do I spend my time trashing Tarantino, well, because it's fun, alright? And Tarantino can handle being trashed. He's quite celebrated around the world, so I don't think I'm going to really bother him too much. But his fans, though, they're the ones who probably get the most bothered. I never got that. I mean, if you don't like a movie that I like, I don't really care. If I say that Taylor Swift sucks, you shouldn't care, even if you love Taylor Swift. If you're offended, then you should be offended. If Quentin Tarantino is that much of your personality and identity, then you need to get a real one. Alright, okay. And you know why Tarantino also does violence, or why people like it so much? Because it shocks people. He likes to shock his viewer, just like farting at a party shocks everybody, even though it's not necessarily good. And then when everybody leaves the room because of the fart, the guy's all like, look how impressive I am. I intimidated everybody, and they all had to leave. It's like how you win an argument. Just fart, and then the guy that you're arguing with will leave. How many times, let's see if you can figure it out, pause it after I ask this question. How many times has a Quentin Tarantino character danced while doing something violent? I looked it up, and unfortunately there's only one scene where he literally has somebody dancing while they're hurting somebody, which is of course Mr. Blonde. However, Tarantino has often filmed a dance scene before a violent scene. And a lot of his scenes of violence, such as Django, have dance-like choreography. And if they're not dancing while they're being violent, they're talking about silly things like a royale with cheese. Bottom line is that casualness and enjoyment, pleasure, is tied and linked to the violence, always. And to Tarantino, that equals the holy grail of what he truly seeks, which is being cool. Now, I've said this before, but if this, Hitman or whatever, Django Unchained, if they were so casual about murder, they wouldn't be, enjoying it so much, right? I enjoy playing chess, but I don't dance while I'm doing it. And I'm not, talking about cheeseburgers while I'm, and just enjoying it, and so casual. It's really not that special. When you've done it a lot of times is what I'm saying. If you're a hitman, you're going to be kind of bored. You're just going to want to get it over with, especially if you've got a lot of experience. But like kids in high school, Tarantino's characters enjoy murder to the point where it's almost like they've never done it before. For Tarantino, just like for every nerd in high school that's trying to be cool, whatever, coolness is everything for Tarantino. It's the holy grail. It's his eternal quest. What's in the briefcase that Vincent and Jules get? It's not gold, it's coolness. Coolness is Tarantino's MacGuffin. It's at the center of every movie. There's no point to his movies other than that. You see, real movie directors, they want to be like, I want to be the greatest director of all time, or I want to make the greatest movie of all time. Tarantino doesn't want that. He just wants to be the coolest director of all time. When I watch a Tarantino movie, I don't really feel like I'm watching a movie. I don't feel like I'm watching a movie. I feel like I'm watching Tarantino arguing his case to me that he's very cool, that he's a very cool movie director. He's a very cool guy. Now, he tried his hand his face at acting, and it didn't go over so well because he looks like a total nerd. So he couldn't do it with his face, he couldn't do it with acting, and he can't just come out with a movie called I'm Cool, and here's the evidence, because that would just be too on the nose. See, because coolness requires some subtlety, although I use that word like it's not very subtle. Fun factoid, Quentin Tarantino's favorite writer was a guy named Elmore Leonard, or it was in the past anyways. And he wrote a Get Shorty, which was a book that I read. And then he wrote a sequel to it called Be Cool. So his favorite writer wrote a book called Be Cool. But unfortunately, trying to be cool is kind of like trying to look like you don't care. There's a lot of these things where like the very fact that you're saying it proves that you don't have it. Like I knew a guy who was always talking about how he has to stand up for himself. And it's like people who actually stand up for themselves don't have to say that. They never say that. They just stand up for themselves. Now, as much as I don't like Martin Scorsese, I gotta say, his movies are a lot more cool than Tarantino because Scorsese isn't just hyper-focused on the cool elements. Now, the problem with Quentin Tarantino and the problem with coolness is that it's just a very juvenile idea that doesn't really mean anything. What's cool? Sunglasses? Come on. Like, what are we, 12? You poor man. What are you turning? You're looking at 60 and you're still riding a skateboard? You know, skateboarding was cool when I was 14. But at the age of 47, if I was riding a skateboard, trust me, it would not look... And that's exactly how Tarantino movies... And that's how Tarantino looks to me. He looks like a 60-year-old riding a skateboard, you know, while drinking a beer, and everybody's kind of laughing at him. Well, the actual cool kids are laughing at him. The nerds are all looking up to him and thinking that he's cool. Somebody once said that Donald Trump is a poor man's idea of what a rich man looks like. And similarly, I would say Quentin Tarantino is a nerd's idea of what being cool looks like. It's like, I don't know if you've ever read a book or watched a movie where some guy's like a ladies' man, and you can tell that the writer's never, like, is a virgin. You can tell he's a virgin because he doesn't know how to write it. That's kind of like Quentin Tarantino writing cool. And he's also probably a virgin. I don't care if he's 60, he's probably a virgin. Like, if you watch his romance scenes, they're so like, I'm sorry, that's not the way they work in real life. And it's not even the way they work in movies. Like, even his fictional, glamorized romance scenes are nerdy and awkward, just like he is. Just like the two idiots on the screen right now, Butch and his potbelly girlfriend. That was the most cringe, like, cheesy thing I've ever seen. It was so painful to watch that scene. I was looking in the mirror and I wish I had a pot. Will you give me oral, how do I say it? Oral? Will you give me oral pleasure? You want to give me, you want me to give you oral pleasure? Yes, give me oral pleasure. So I'm just going to end this little rambling about I ChatGPT'd Tarantino's fascination with cool, and I'm going to read out what I found. Okay. Tarantino deliberately peppers his scripts with cool as shorthand for style, validation, or ironic commentary. Reservoir Dogs, it's used in dialogue when the gang discusses names, dress, and behavior. This is the actual use of the word cool. Mr. Pink as like, bad motherfucker. My wallet's the one that says bad motherfucker. Well, that's still like him saying, my wallet's the one that says I'm so cool. Mr. Pink uses the word cool as a deflection in arguments. Pulp Fiction, Vincent Vega and Jules use it in casual exchanges. The word is also tied to the coolness of crime life, drugs, dancing, guns. I'm surprised skateboards aren't in there. Mia Wallace is, don't you think it would be fun if you just said what's really on your mind? Scene plays with the words subtext, I guess. I don't know what the hell that means. Samuel Jackson and Jackie Brown frequently throws out cool when negotiating or intimidating. The word is tied to manipulation and status here. True Romance, you're so cool. That just comes to my mind. Cool appears in Kill Bill, in banter. It's used in Elle Driver's dialogue, in Bill's casual and in Bill's casual, ironic tone. In Death Proof, heavy use of cool among the women's dialogue when they're flaunting their attitude. The word is most tied to surface level image, cars, clothes, music. Inglourious Bastards, very rare, but it does appear in translation. Isn't that funny? They use cool in translation. Django Unchained, cool is thrown in. So even in like slavery days, they were using the word cool when talking about guns and swagger. The Hateful Eight, it's even used there in the Old West. It's used sparingly, but there's at least one instance in casual, like, ironic dialogue. Once Upon a Hollywood. Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth use it in casual 60s slang. It's tied to Hollywood's obsession with being seen as cool. I'm sorry, Quentin, it's you that's obsessed with being cool. Don't put it on Hollywood. Anyways, if Stephen King is the master of horror, then Quentin Tarantino can be the master of cool. That's okay with me. Because, I mean, I don't even look at Stephen King like horror, and I certainly don't look at Tarantino as cool. I don't look at him at all, in fact. I never watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. If you enjoy these videos about Tarantino, they seem to get views, so let me know. Okay, bye.